Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love, money, mine. Love, money, mine. This is freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, this is Anna and welcome to another episode of your Freedom Podcast. In this episode, I interview Amanda Monnier. Amanda is an energy healer and mindset coach, and she knows she was put on this earth to support people in waking up and remembering who they are. Amanda empowers her clients and helps them heal from the inside out, break ancestral patterns and shift into the fullest embodiment of who they are at a soul level. You're going to love this interview. She's really inspiring and I just can't wait to share it with you. So hi Amanda, I'm excited to get you on the show. Thanks for sparing the time.
Yeah, hi Anna, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you today.
In fact, one thing that I didn't just ask you was whereabouts are you based? Because obviously you've got you've got a US accent, but I often get Canada and the US mixed up. So I hope I've got that right. I hope you are in the US.
Yeah, I'm in California. I'm in Southern California. Do Californians have a specific accent? I know there's like key words that people say, but
California is more of a Hollywood accent, isn't it? I think.
You're like, oh yeah, I hope I don't have a Hollywood accent, but who knows, like when you live somewhere for so long, it like you become, I guess, desensitized to the way people talk. Yeah.
It's actually interesting that the fact that us Brits and you Americans, we all speak English, but there's lots of misunderstandings that happen. Because I know that from working online with different things that we call each other or things, because I know when my boys have been on too many devices because they start speaking like in an American accent.
Oh my gosh. You're like, no, stop, don't do that.
My son will say, oh, we were taking the trash out. And I'll be like, it's the rubbish, So it's just interesting things that they pick up.
Yeah.
So in some respects, we are like, it's completely different language, I think, even though we obviously understand each other. So welcome to the show anyway. It's great to have you here. And as we were just discussing, I have 3 pillars: freedom in love, which is around self-care, self-love; freedom in money, which is financial freedom; and freedom in mind, because those 3 things have helped me get equilibrium really in my life. Because when I wasn't looking after myself or didn't really love myself, the balance was sort of like this, and when I was struggling financially, that was a tough time as well. And mindset really, well, it's a lot deeper than the word mindset. And I know you focus a lot on that with all the manifestations, cool stuff that you do. But you've got an interesting story. And I know that you'll do a lot of healing as around your coaching. So how did you get to be doing all this fab stuff that you're doing online right now? How did it all start?
So there's like kind of 2 kind of separate stories, probably starting with going backwards to childhood stuff. My parents split up when I was about 6 years old, and it just like rocked my world, because as kids, we can't grasp and understand like the totality of what's going on around us. And so it's all based on our perception and then the beliefs and even energy. Like I'm a very sensitive person. So like even like the energy I take on of those around me. And then we compile these like things and these truths and even these stories that we continue to play out and live by. And so there was a lot that happened around even just my perception of love and even just being able to be open. And over the years, I started to realize that I was like seeing a lot of patterns in my life, like fast forwarding even to when I started dating. And it was just a lot of patterns around love specifically. And it was like these deeply rooted abandonment wounds that I had had from childhood. And it was this part of me that had just like closed off even though I thought in my head, I was like, no, I'm an open and loving person. Like there was like this like big part of me that like my heart, especially, that was just like so closed off. And it just was like, I didn't trust anybody. I wasn't going to let anybody in. And it was just like this hardened shell, even to where I didn't even know who I was, because I had taken on all these things and all these stories. And I just, like, I literally foundationally did not know who I was at that point.
Yeah. And so how did you, because interestingly, if people listening to this feel exactly how you described, maybe they went through something like that as a kid, is there any kind of advice or tips that you can share with them to kind of help them get through what maybe some of those questions that they're asking themselves, really?
Yeah. So it's been definitely a journey and an unraveling. So to kind of go into how I led to really going within and being able to release a lot of this and heal a lot of this, I actually I was in law enforcement, and I had done that for about 6 years. And the journey while I was in law enforcement, like it started, I was like, oh, this is my career. I'm never going to leave. This is amazing. And I started to have these experiences, and I started to kind of ask questions, because I was like, there's got to be more to life than this. Like, I feel like I started to get to the point where I was waking up every day, and I was like, it was almost like Groundhog's Day. And I was just on autopilot, because when we're not being intentional about creation, and when we're not showing up in this place of authenticity, then it literally is, we're in our unconscious. We're going about life on autopilot. And so I had a pretty earth-shattering breakup, and it rocked me pretty good, to where it was like almost like, because it wasn't even necessarily the breakup, it was all these like things within me that had been stuffed so deep within. Because when we talk about energy at a foundational level, if everything is energy and we experience these painful memories, like energy can be in the form of a memory, it can be in the form of an emotion, it can be in the form of thoughts and beliefs. There's some ancestral encodings in the DNA. And so we can get really deep on some of these things. Like we can literally carry templates from our ancestors, and science has it going back at least 7 years. Now I think it can be way further. But we carry these things in our energy field. And when we don't process them and release them and heal them, we have these different parts that can be kind of fragmented from we want like one main personality, so we can just flow and create. That's what we're meant to do here. So when we have all of these things that happen, we can have this energy still within us, which one will continue to create these pain eliciting responses, because it's like, if we look at the universe as is a kind of a mirror in some ways, it's like reflecting back to us what we believe to be true. And it's just, if we look at the whole thing, it's just kind of like this. And that's why everything is here to help us unravel these things so that we can move forward. But kind of going back to my story, I just remember like this happening, and I was like, oh my gosh, like life doesn't have to, like, it shouldn't suck this bad. Like same man, different face, same pattern, same pain. I'm like, I can't, like, I can't anymore. And so I started to ask questions, and I started to go within and like kind of like soul search. I had a spiritual awakening, if you will, which to me is just like starting to remember who you are. It is kind of that process, like lifting the veil of all the illusions and lies that have been, you've either told or been told to you, the programming, the conditioning. And so it started this process of like kind of deep diving into that. And it just kind of opened me up in new ways. And so I really got into like energy work and really starting to even just question everything that I'd been told. And so when I got to this point, it was started to become really powerful, like, and going into like some of the healing stuff. I mean, this is all stuff I tell people all the time. Like, I'm simply a guide. Like, it's not like, yes, can I tune into certain things and help people move through it? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's really about going within and remembering your own innate power and your own like that soul alignment piece to where it's a remembrance of who you are underneath all the density. And so if there's any like main piece of advice I could give to people, it's really just all that density and all that trauma and all that like just stuff, the stories and all that, it's all simply not you. And when we can begin to even just acknowledge it and shift it and shift into more of who we are at that deeper level, that soul level, that's when we can really create like some change and getting intentional about what we want to manifest and create in our life.
Yeah, I think you hit on a point there around the acknowledgement, because I think for me, for a while, I wasn't acknowledging it. You know, like I saw by dealing with stuff, it was a weakness.
Yeah.
And it was only when I kind of sought help, really, that I realized that by acknowledging it, that's where sort of like the power is, really, that we can acknowledge that there's a trigger or something like that, and it's fine to kind of like let that energy out, because I kind of saw it as that I was a mom, you know, I was like giving, but not really looking after myself, and saw that by acknowledging anything was going to be a weakness, when actually that was like the most powerful thing that I did, was sort of allowing myself to kind of go through that to heal, really. And like we were saying before we recorded, that, you know, it's healing's like a journey, isn't it? Things you feel like, oh my God, I'm healed, and then suddenly something else happens. It just means that we get to be able to manage it better, but there's always going to be things that pop up, and it's like part of that journey, I suppose.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. It's kind of been shown to me a couple different ways. So kind of one piece to touch on is like this idea of like when that stuff does come up, surrendering instead of like clenching. Like, and I've it's like sometimes we think the pain is going to be so deep that we just don't like want to go there. And it's like, then we clench and we hold it inside of us. And I actually had an experience this past week where I was like called to surrender in a deeper way than I ever have in my entire life. And it was just this heart, like I've never felt so much pain in my heart. Like I was like, I put this right below like this car accident I was in. And then I got like, when I was training for probation, they sprayed you in the face with OC. I'm like, it's right below those two things. I think I'd take the OC spray over the pain that I felt last week, because it was like this physical pain. And it was like this, because again, it's like, it's just energy, it's energy releasing. And so it's this, this energy of surrender and just allowing and trusting, because I think in general, I can at least speak for myself. Like, I want to know, like, I want to have some control over like what's going to happen, rather than like trusting that what I've already chosen is done. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I can really relate to that. And I also think, because listening to your story, it's like there's always something that we perceive as being bad, but then when we look back, actually, it was a really good thing, because it was like really getting us to know ourselves a lot better. And those are like the wake-up calls, because maybe if you hadn't had that relationship that ended, it might not have. You may not then have got it. You may still be in law enforcement. I mean, you may not have been. There may have been something else the following year or so, or whatever, or after that. But it kind of makes you evaluate, doesn't it? What you're doing with your life and the purpose that what you're actually here for, sort of thing.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And it's interesting kind of going back to the healing piece, because some people, especially in the healing community, they focus on the problem, and it's like, oh, we got to unearth all this stuff and heal all this stuff. There's a couple of things I want to kind of mention. Is I actually don't think that, I think it's kind of a choice too, but I don't think that like where we are now and where we're headed, I really don't feel that we're going to be healing on these deep levels our entire life. So some of the things that have come through for me is we are, this generation is really healing this ancestral trauma, and we're breaking these cycles. And we can even see it on like a collective space, like everything that seems like it's going on right now on the planet is, the way I've described it, is like a collective dark night of the soul, because we can't like continue to build on a foundation of lies. Right. And so all of the like darkness and all the conditioning and programming, the dense energy is like coming to the surface. It's like, you know, you have it personally, then you have it collectively, and it's coming to the surface because it just can't like it's like been rattled so much that it's just like it's popping up, because it can't, like, we can't live in this lie anymore. We're actually on this cusp of this like age of truth, really.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the deep healing work and all this stuff is something we're going to be doing our entire lives. And part of the reason I believe that is because are actually even going down to like our DNA, like our DNA is changing for a lot of us. And so like the current DNA that it's like this dense carbon-based DNA. And there's actually the template for that of a human being is a crystalline DNA. And it's this very expansive DNA. It's like this light body DNA. And all part of releasing all this density, like the beautiful thing is like our bodies are even changing to this crystalline structure, which is the actual template of a human. And because of all the control mechanisms and conditioning and density that has been on this planet for so many years, it actually spliced and messed up our DNA on that level. And so that's why there's so much like pain and all this like anguish here. But light at the end of the tunnel for everybody. I truly feel like that we are shifting, and it has been shown to me, and I've experienced it in my own life. So, but again, it's like that choice, right? So we have the choice whether we want to surrender to the process. Yeah.
That's really interesting, actually, listening to you. Because there is so much uncertainty right now, isn't there, with a lot of people. It's interesting that I think when you've gone through things, or you've spent a lot of time on your own working on yourself, everything that's been happening, I've just felt really grateful for the journey that I've been on, because I kind of switched myself off from what's happening really in the world. Whereas a lot of my friends that maybe have been on that sort of, I suppose, the rat race, or in their jobs and doing what they're doing, they're like in kind of turmoil right now. But I don't think they've ever stopped to actually focus on them or anything that's happening. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's an interesting one with just every, you know, I don't feel particularly fearful or worried.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Maybe it's because I'm used to surrendering. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's part of the structure for those that are, like you even mentioned, like it's like they're go, go, go. They don't even stop.
Yeah.
Because this structure that is in place is meant to, like, anything, like, and I always say, like, emotions are your compass. So if there's something that's like coming into your face that is eliciting this fear-based response, and it's causing you almost to like it's telling you to get in fear mode, like, to me, that's nonsense. Like, that is always, I'm always going to say, okay, I'm going to see this. I'm going to take a step back from this, because if anybody's telling me to be in fear, then I'm going to check and tune in. And that's part of it too, as we are so predisposed and have like the instinctual reaction to ask all these questions to everybody else, to search outside of us for all these answers, when actually all we need to do is already there. We just need to tune in with what's within us and connect to our own source connection. People use God, source, universe, whatever word resonates, it's all the same, right? We always talk about like, it's that, you know, those division templates where it's like, we're all talking about the same thing, people. So like tuning in and going within and really getting that clarity from within. And that is actually the answer. That's why I tell my clients, I'm like, I'm not going to ever tell you what to do. I'm a guide. I can ask questions and give perspective and offer suggestions and help with healing and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's about your power, your authenticity, and your light.
Yeah, absolutely. So for people that are listening to this that are thinking, wow, this Amanda lady is so inspiring, how can you help people? What do you do for your clients, for your coaching clients?
So a variety of things. I do actually have quite a few free resources on my website, a Facebook group, and then I also have a podcast. So I do try to, you know, like meet people where they're at, right? And then I do one-on-one work for now. I'm in the process of launching a masterclass with my business partners. So the type of energy work that I do, kind of going back to, problem solving is not the answer. So it's all about conscious creation. And it's what is it that you want to create just because you would love to have it. It's a reframe that we're not used to. So the healing work is secondary, because the healing work is all about releasing resistance to you being able to flow towards what it is you choose. And when we frame it in the way of, oh, it's an end result, we're not in the process. We are creating this. We're choosing this end result. Like for me, one of the things that I've chosen is this epic, beautiful soulmate love relationship. And it's like, part of the stuff that I know has been coming up for me is a releasing of the blocks and the barriers within me to being able to flow towards it, so that I'm that energetic frequency match. Because if we talk on like the energy, the language of energy, it's like we can say we want all these things, but energy doesn't lie. So you can say you want these things, but if you inside have all these, because the unconscious is roughly 90 to 95% of everything going on within you. So if we're saying we want these things, but yet we have these unconscious beliefs of unworthiness, or these, energetic blocks to being able to actually have it and call it in and be a match to it, then that's like where the energy work comes in to release these different patternings and programming, so that you can, and it's like rewiring at a neurological level as well.
Yeah, no, that sounds fab. So you've got your group as well. Like, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? Because we can, for people listening, if you're listening on iTunes, we can put everything in the show notes. If you're watching us on YouTube, or anywhere, to be honest, wherever we've got the comments, we will put in Amanda's details. So how do they get access? Do you have a free group that people can come into?
Yeah. So I have, you can reach out to me on Instagram. I have an Instagram, and I have a free Facebook group. It's called The Fierce Feminine. And then I have my website, so email, and there's plenty of little ways you can get a hold of me if you have any questions, or if you're going through something and you just have a question. My door is always open. As far as, I know there's a lot going on right now, and there's a lot of things are moving really quickly too, and so sometimes it's like you may not even realize what's happening, but it's like all this stuff's come up and you're like, oh no, oh no, what's happening right now? Why am I feeling so off? And so it can be kind of confusing for some people too. And I totally get that.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, we'll pop all your details, all your socials, and also your group in the comment section so people can reach you directly. So I always ask everybody at the end of the podcast interview, what does freedom mean to you? Because it's a really interesting question, because it means different things to different people. And I love listening to the answers. So Amanda, what does freedom mean to you?
Freedom is all about soul alignment for me. And it is all about being able to just live in your true, authentic truth. And it's about being able to just consciously create like the life of your dreams, and being able to just live from that place of joy, and being able to just like be grounded in your knowingness that like, this is like what my heart and soul desires. Like that soul alignment piece is so powerful, because underneath, like, and it's different for everybody, right? Like for some people, it might be like building an empire. For others, it might be a cabin in the forest. Like, and that's where it comes to like soul alignment and your authentic truth, because that what it is that your soul yearns for and wants to bring to life. It's like, that's the freedom, is being able to just flow towards it and to not have all this like other density attached.
Or to kind of be like fighting against something, doing things because they feel like they have to. And this fight against, isn't it, of what society places on us. So I love that. That's really good.
Yeah, because we can fight with ourselves too. So it's like like I kind of mentioned, all the the different part work is super important, because let's say, for example, like we have the adult, and then you have like the inner child. It's like, oh, it's not safe. But the adult's like, no, it's safe. It's fine. You're going to go, it's called oscillating. You're going to maybe take 2 steps forward to take 3 steps back. And so it's one of those things where you may be like, oh, I got this, but you might have different parts within you fighting back and forth. And you're like, why does this feel like a push-pull thing? It's because you have parts that are not on board with those desires based on the trauma and all the experiences that have happened there before. But it's actually, I'm not going to sit here and say it's all sunshine and rainbows, because I've had plenty of times where I'm deep in my grief and I'm releasing these parts, but some of it is. And then when you get on the other side, you're like, okay, like now like we were kind of talking about before we got on here, it's like, okay, I know why I do this work, as painful as it can be, because when you come out on the other side and you're like, have that feeling of actually being in your truth and that soul alignment, you're like, okay, I get it now.
Exactly. Well, brilliant. Thanks ever so much for coming on the show. Everybody that's listening to this that feels that sort of calling or alignment with Amanda, go and have a look in the comment section and reach out to her, and go and grab all the free stuff that she's got in her group, and get connected really. So thanks ever so much. It's been great having you on.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Anne. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And if you want to get more freedom in your life, then come and join Your Freedom Project Facebook group, which the link is below in the comments section. And I am giving you a copy of my visualization manifesting book. So manifest more freedom in your life and live the life of your dreams.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast. Hey.